players were back on board with the circuit here at Pyra. Here's the race leaders. Oh, there are all sorts of problems.
Oh, big carnage. Oh, straight to the barriers. And through the smoke we come. What a crash!
Welcome to Retro Motorsport. This week it's motorbikes, the Motorcycling New Zealand Road Racing Champs from 2006 at Pukekohe.
A windswept Pukekohe Park was the traditional first round of the New Zealand Road Racing Championship, and for 2005 it was no different. Big fields of riders and a changing of the guard greeted the spectators at the Ssangyong New Zealand Road Racing Championship. John, a new season of road racing, but a changing of the guard because a lot of former riders like yourself are now taking on the job as manager.
Yeah, it's an interesting job. It's a little bit different to riding, and I don't know which is more nervous, to be honest, but I've got a couple of young guys from the South Island, Stephen Wood from Blenheim, who's just turned 18 years of age, and I've got James Smith from Christchurch on my bike, who's 25. So a couple of young guys coming through. Good results yesterday, good lap time, so yeah, pretty happy.
Who do you rate as your main opposition for the title in the 600s?
Andrew Stroud, without a doubt. Like, Andrew's going to be fast at every single race, you know, whether it's wet or dry, it doesn't matter what the track is. I mean, he's got number one on, you know, and he didn't get it given to him. He won it outright, you know. So as far as I'm concerned, Andrew's the guy to beat overall. Like, Puke's a reasonably easy track to learn, so it'll be interesting to see how the Aussies go next weekend at Manfield. It's a lot more technical than here, and you know, you go somewhere like Ruapuna, it gets pretty technical too. So I think that Chris Seaton from Aussie, he'll be right in the thick of it though, for sure. But Stroud, I want to be the number one Suzuki rider as well, so it's my, you know, I've got to beat Andrew to get into that position too. So there's two reasons to beat him.
Sam, this is a big step up for you. How are you finding it?
600, finding it pretty good. Yeah, I've adapted to it. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how I've adapted. Come from the 125, so I've adapted pretty well, and I'm happy with progress so far. Yeah.
It seems to be the progression, is it? I mean, Carl Morgan started on 125s, then moved up, and then he got on to 600.
Yep.
Plenty of guys do it.
Yeah, it's definitely the usual 125s that you know, the grassroots of, and 600s where it's where everyone's looking, and it's where all the, you know, Dominic Jones, everyone from 125s has moved up to the 600s. It's the class to be in at the moment. Yeah.
Well, it may be the class to be in, and it's the class we'll take a look at first, the Sports Production 600cc class as they come out onto the racetrack. This is what happened in the qualifying. It was Fielding's Craig Sheriffs that was the fastest qualifier with a 59.675 lap. Alongside him on the front row will be Derek McAdam on a Kawasaki, the current national champion Andrew Stroud on a Suzuki, and David Johnson from Australia, also Suzuki mounted. Row number 2, it's Sam Smith, Chris Seaton, Chris Perez from Canada, and Carl Morgan from Auckland. 29 bikes will face the starter, and joining me in commentary once again, Paul Pavletic.
Wow, that was a cracker too, and Seaton looked pretty good on the inside.
And what a start here from Andrew Stroud. Stroud it is, leading him through into the S's for the first of 9 times. Right in behind him, well, an international flavour we've got in the Ssangyong New Zealand Road Racing Championships, and it's Chris Seaton from Australia on the Bernard Racing Pirelli Shod Suzuki, sitting in second place.
Wow, he's a top contender too. He finished 8th in the Australian Supersport Championship this year. He's only 21 years old, so it's all ahead of him.
Down into the braking area for the first time, and it is Stroud on the inside. It's Craig Sheriffs on the outside. Sheriffs has to bow to the master for the moment. Andrew Stroud, the 600 Sports Production champion of New Zealand, and he holds sway as they work their way up over the top for the first time, Paul.
The Kiwi boys gave the Aussie a lesson in hard braking then. One either side, they gave him a real dust-up.
Well, Chris Seaton, I guess it must be hard for him, his first time here at Pukekohe Park Raceway, but he's going to do the whole of the Ssangyong Road Racing Championships. And look at this, 3 abreast into the sweeper here at Pukekohe, and it's Seaton that comes out the winner.
You can put that to coming over the top of the hill faster. He got much better drive, and he slipstreamed and pulled out and up the inside.
So it's all Suzuki as they work out onto the back straight for the moment. Chris Seaton from Australia, Craig Sheriffs from Fielding, Andrew Stroud from Hamilton. Derek McAdam wants a piece of this as well. That's him, bike number 9.
Well, I think he's a dark horse because that Kawasaki has got so much grunt. You should have seen it down the straight earlier in practice. It just passed 2 or 3 bikes without a blink.
Well, Seaton making up a lot of ground there. Craig Sheriffs, the back of the bike, lifting off the ground under the hard braking. He gets it back, though, through the left-hander. Well, we're in for something special here, Paul Pavletic. The times are sensational. sensational. They were in qualifying, and the racing is unbelievable, and we're only at the early stages.
It sure is. These bikes for the first time are under a minute on a 600cc sports production bike. Just incredible. 30 bike field, you know, the pressure is on.
Well, and you mentioned it before, I'm sure the New Zealanders want to do well in front of their home crowd and keep the Australians at bay. Quite a few Aussies in the field. We'll get to them a little bit later, but at the moment you're watching all the action, and it's an Australian that's having a big hand in it. Down the inside, Sheriffs gets very close to him. I think Seaton's going to take the running. He does as they work their way out of the Suzuki hairpin. It is Seaton in the front, then it's Sheriffs, then it's David Johnson from Australia, then it's the current national champion, that is Andrew Stroud, and behind him it's number 9, Derek McAdam.
Well, Johnson too, letter J. He's an ex-runner-up in the World BMX Pushbike Championship. Incredible athlete.
Well, he's been racing for the last 4 years in Europe, but he is an Australian racing here for the Brian Bernard race team. Watch out too for number 88. That's young Sam Smith, just 17 years of age, having his first season on the 600s, and he's mixing it up with the national champion. He's given Andrew Stroud the don't argue.
Don't you know who I am? Andrew Stroud's probably saying, you don't barge me, I'm the national champion.
Well, what about this? The lead has changed so many times, and it's the youngster in control here, and the back of the bike leaps off the ground again. Here comes the challenge from Craig Sheriffs, and he does it. What a move round the hairpin.
Well, that was oh, somebody's down. That's a biggie.
Well, 2 riders come down in the hairpin. The racing continues, though, and it's the Suzukis out in the front, and that is a big crash. And it looks like it's Dom Jones is one of them by the look of it.
Oh, no, it's Paris too.
Well, the Canadian comes down. In fact, that's bad team riding because both of them riding for Sean Harris's Rico Suzuki team. Meantime, back in the front, it is Craig Sheriffs leading now from David Johnson. Then it is 88 Sam Smith, the best showing of the Yamaha riders, and Derek McAdam in there as well on the Kawasaki. Don't forget Andrew Stroud because he's there as well. And right in behind him, it's the man who was making all the running earlier on, and that is Chris Seaton.
Well, Andrew Stroud will catch him, there's no doubt. He is sensational under brakes, and here he is. Look, he made up 3 or 4 bike lengths in 1 hairpin.
So Johnson in the front now, Sheriffs in second, Smith, McAdam. Then it is Andrew Stroud. So don't discount Andrew Stroud. We've seen it so many times, Paul. He seems to lag back, and then just at the opportune moment, he'll poise and strike.
Yeah, he's actually got a little bit of a disadvantage on these 600s. He's probably 6'2". He's not heavy, but he's tall, and the aerodynamics are a problem for him.
Oh, what about that? Sam Smith right around the outside, over the top of the hill and into the sweeper, and he stays in the front. The young kid, just 17 years of age, from Waiuku, having his first run in the 600 class. Oh, and he nearly tumbled it away. Unbelievable stuff from the kid. I don't think he knows any better. No. He just knows how to turn the throttle.
4 abreast coming to the hairpin now. What can the Aussie do? Can he hold out the young boy?
Look at the back wheel jumping off the ground under the hard braking. Johnson it is on the Brian Bernard Racing Suzuki. Out in the front for the moment. Look at the attention he's getting now from young Sammy Smith. Sheriffs is right there. Stroud's right there. McAdam's hanging tough. What a sensational race. We haven't seen racing like this at Pukekohe before.
No, this is great. And Smith is so fast over the top of the hill. I can't believe it. Look at him. Look at the speed he's carrying over the hill.
So 88, Sammy Smith dives to the inside, takes the front running as they work into the Jenny and home sweeper. Dave Johnson through in second place. Craig Sheriffs on the Haldane Suzuki, next one through. And then it is Andrew Stroud on the brother Suzuki. And how close do you want to go? The elbows come out from David Johnson, and he just holds on to it. Unbelievable stuff. Oh, they're going to come up on the back markers, and that's going to change the complexion of the racing. And here comes the national champion, Andrew Stroud down the inside. Johnson's got the better running of it. Craig Sheriffs, pick one. Who's going to lead out of the hairpin?
Wow, Johnson's a fast learner because in the first few laps he was weak under brakes, but he showed them how to do it that time.
And look at the way the field gets shuffled. Sam Smith was leading the race just 1 lap ago, and now he's back in 4th place.
These 600s are amazing. Under a minute out of a 600 sports production bike. Unheard of.
Well, I guess you're talking speeds of 160 miles an hour under the braking area for the hairpin. These guys don't know any quarter, and they're certainly not giving any. Johnson back in the front. Sheriff, Stroud, Sam Smith's there. So too McAdam. So too Chris Seaton.
I think McAdam on that Kawasaki is going to get a good draft down the back straight. It really does grunt, that 600 Kawasaki.
Well, everyone tells us in the pits that it's the acknowledged horsepower monster. Let's see what he can do this time round. This time the challenge may be coming on the outside from the Haldane Suzuki. Craig Sheriff's trying to get round David Johnson. Perfect. Inside, outside, moves, squared the turn and gets the race lead. So Craig Sheriff's in the front. Andrew Stroud's come from 4th to 2nd.
Look, that mistake too, you're only talking half a metre and you've passed the apex and they're going to come up the inside of you. That's all it was.
Well, for the first time, Paul, in this race, we can say there's a little bit of breathing space at the front, or is there? Because have a look on the outside of the screen. Here comes Sam Smith, but it's a little bit too late, and it is Craig Sheriff that gets the win. Andrew Stroud, the defending champion, goes through in second place, 0.9 of a second in it. Then it was Sam Smith, Australia's David Johnson, Chris Seaton, and Wellington's Derek McAdam.
It got very, very, very busy in that race. It was probably one of the most exciting, if not the most exciting race I've had. Yeah, it's just people going everywhere.
Did you think with one to go that you had a sniff of it?
Oh, I knew I was definitely in with a shout, but yeah, I slipstream away past, I don't even know who it was, on the last lap down the back straight. We were sort of side by side going into the brakes. And it was one of the Aussie guys. I was just more worried about Sam Smith being behind me on the Yamaha, and I thought he might have slipstreamed on the start line there, because he's passed me a few times over the weekend down this front straight there, but I was weaving all over the show coming off the hill.
I think we had 9 laps, we had about 30 lead changes. There must have been some pretty heavy outbraking going on at the hairpin.
Yeah, the hairpin was very, very busy. Turn 1 was getting pretty exciting there a couple of times as well, but one of the Aussie boys, I think Sam was leading going into Castro, and the Aussie fella just went in real tight and smacked into him a few times, and I thought they might knock each other off into the grass. I was sort of crossing my fingers for it, to be honest. And then Stroudy came past on the brakes on second to last lap, and I was like, shit, he's the last guy I want behind me. But it all worked out good for us, so I'm very, very happy.
You're a 3-time Australian Superbike champion. You're having your first serious tilt at the New Zealand title. How much would it mean to you to win it?
Oh, it'd be great to win it for Suzuki. Tom Peck from Suzuki New Zealand asked us to come over, and as soon as they asked me in Australia, I said, yep, I'll be there. When's it on? So I've always wanted to come over and have a ride, and to do the full series, it's going to be really good. It's good practice for us. Get some more testing time on the K5 GSXR 1000. So it's really important for us to do good for Suzuki as well as for ourselves.
So the 3-time Australian Superbike champion here for the championships, but out-qualified by the Kiwis. Ray Clee fastest with a 57.532, so he'll be joined on the front row by Andrew Stroud and Dean Fulton. Welcome back to round 1 of the Ssangyong New Zealand Road Racing Championships, coming to you from Pukekohe Park Raceway. Well, we have seen one 600 sports production race, but this is the biggie of the afternoon. This is the TT. It's 15 laps. Once again, Paul Pavletic joins me in commentary, and once again, Paul, we see a sensational start from Chris Seaton.
Yeah, this Aussie boy on the Suzuki really got it nailed, hasn't he? He's in the pole position up the inside. No, he's just been pushed out of the way by Craig Sheriff.
Well, Sheriff goes into the front. Now, let's talk about this for a little while, Paul. The TT, it's a very prestigious race. I think it's in its 70th year, but more importantly, it's nearly double the laps of what we saw in the first heat. So what are these guys going to do? What's the strategy? Are they going to conserve, or are they going to just go 100% right from the flag fall?
No, these guys are going to give it 110%. There's going to be no delays. They're just going to be into it. Full steam.
Derek McAdam in the front, and out of the hairpin they come. Sheriff's in second place, then it's Seaton, then it is P, and that is Chris Paris from Canada. Now he comes with a huge pedigree, 4th in the AMA titles last year, Canada-based, but has been doing a lot of racing on the AMA circuit in the United States of America, and he's part of Sean Harris's attack on the title. Lots of international riders, and they're strung out along the racetrack here at Pukekohe Park Raceway. McAdam, Sheriff, Seaton is right there, Paris is right there, Andrew Stroud's right there, Sam Smith's right there. All the contenders, you can throw a blanket over them, Paul.
And it's all the distributors too. Honda, Suzuki, Kawasaki, Yamaha, they're all in there, and this is exactly what we want. And having a great sponsor like Ssangyong lifting us to new levels, it's fantastic.
Well, you said so many times that the Kawasaki was the horsepower monster, and Derek McAdam using that to his advantage, or is he? No, Craig Sheriff slips down the inside of him. Craig Paris moves through into 3rd place, then it's Seaton shuffle back to 4th, then it's Andrew Stroud, then it's another one of the Suzukis out there, and I've got a feeling that may be David Johnson, the second of the Bernard Racing Ssangyong team. So they're all in with a sniff of this, and it's early stages, 15 laps. Can they keep this pace up, Pav?
Yep, they will keep it up. It's all on, and did you see the sparks fly off Paris' knee scrapers go around the corners? Sensational stuff.
Oh, and a big head shake from Paris as he works his way into the S's here into Castrol at Pukekohe Park Raceway. The Rico Suzuki-sponsored Motor Dynamics team, run by past 600 national champion Sean Harris. And I talked to Sean in the break between races, and he's champing at the bit. He'd love to be out there. They just didn't have the preparation time.
Well, too, I know he really rates this young fella Paris. You know, he said he's put some big weights on him. He said he's really going to be a rider of the future internationally.
I tell you what, if you blink, you'll miss the passes because we've seen two in the last 2 seconds. It is McAdam back in the front now. Craig Shearers from Palmerston North sits right in behind him. How many times have these guys diced it out, not only here at Pukekohe, but at all of the rounds of the New Zealand Road Racing and Street Racing Championships? These guys go together like bread and jam.
Oh, Sam Smith, right up the inside of the Aussie boy. He's just the cornering speed. My jaw drops when I watch him. He carries so much cornering speed. He's just he's incredible.
Well, you know a little bit about Sam Smith, and what a story it is. Straight out of 125 racing. This is his first year in the 600s. We've already seen him put it to the master, and that is Andrew Stroud. And I think he's going to do it again here. Look at this.
He's come from about 7.
In the hairpin, down the inside, and says, move over, Andrew Stroud. There's a new sheriff in town, but his name's Smith.
He's come from 7th to 3rd in half a lap.
Brilliant stuff from the youngster.
And this is an R6 too. Like you know, obviously the choice out there is Suzuki. The whole bunch of them are Suzukis, and there's the lone Yamaha doing the business.
Well, we were both talking with Tony Rees, and he said that, you know, someone's got to wave the flag for Yamaha. Perhaps it's on the shoulders of Sam Smith. He was very nervous before the start of the first race. You don't see any nerves out on the racetrack now, Paul. He's mixing it up with the best in New Zealand.
Well, he's 17 years old. He doesn't know he bleeds.
Well, yeah, that may be something in it too.
He's invincible.
McAdam still in the front, but for how much longer? Sammy Smith's got the inside running, and he's got the best track position. Craig Sheriff says, don't you believe it? The back end comes off the ground again.
Under brakes, he's on Metzler-Schott Suzuki, and that was incredible hard braking by Craig Sheriff. He's a real quiet achiever. I love watching this guy. So smooth and fast.
Well, we've seen him do outstanding things on the streets. We've seen him do outstanding things at Manfield, at Teretonga, at Invercargill, and of course here at Pukekohe, and he's not letting us down. Craig Sheriff from Palmerston North, part of the Sheriff's dynasty, a huge name in motorcycling in New Zealand, and this young bloke is carrying the flag with pride. 56, 88, and S is the order at the moment, and that is Sheriffs, Smith, and Seaton.
Oh, Sam Smith just made a bit of a bobble there, run out wide, and the Aussie boy barged his way through. That was thorough.
The Suzukis are calling the tune at the front, or have I spoken too soon? Because once again we see the big charge from Sam Smith. Oh, and Sheriff's nearly outbrakes himself. How did he get away with that? How did he save that?
He was chattering in sideways. He was a bit rough then, but he pulled it through. My heart's pounding, Phil. This is great stuff. I haven't seen a race like this in a while.
I said these guys would be pacing themselves. What a lot of rot there at 110%. They're going as fast as we've ever seen it. We saw them lower the track record in the first race. I'm sure they'll do it again. And here comes the charge from the youngster, and he passes Craig Shearers as if to say, is that all you can do?
Oh, I can't wait too, because Yamaha have got a new R6 coming in about 6 weeks' time, so can you imagine how fast that's going to be?
Well, what is the future for this young man? I know he's being managed by Dave Cole, one of the more experienced heads in New Zealand motorcycling. I would say the future is very bright.
Well, he's 17 years old. He's been to Australia. He's won the classic round over there, the classic meeting. It's all in front of him. He's just got to stay safe and keep the good advice coming from Dave Cole. He'll save him a whole lot of aggravation and bark over the next 12 months.
Well, you make a good point, because a lot of these guys, as you said before, they don't know they're alive until they have a bit of a tumble. And when you're doing speeds like this, I mean, the average speed around here would be over 100 miles an hour on a 600 sports production bike, virtually the bike you can buy off the dealer's floor.
Unbelievable. The last lap from Sam Smith was a 59.1. Incredible.
So Sam Smith leaving it all on the racetrack at the moment. Seaton through in second place. Then it is Craig Sheriff. Then it is Andrew Stroud. Derek McAdam hanging tough in fifth place. And behind him, I think it's letter J, and that's David Johnson. Just starting to get gapped on that pace of the front runners.
Check it out, Phil. That's a lap record for a 600 class, the most competitive class by a 17-year-old boy. Amazing.
And look at the way they're throwing these machines round. Seaton's bike very sideways, chattering under brakes into the hairpin. Now he's right on Sam Smith once again. It's New Zealand versus Australia. And once again, we've seen slower race traffic coming up, and they're going to play a part in this one. That's Rick Mackay from Hamilton. He does the sensible thing and tries to get to the outside of the track, and now he's caught up in it. Derek McAdam goes left, goes right. He doesn't know which way to go.
And look at the number one, Andrew Stroud. When was the last time you've seen him in fourth or fifth place?
Well, you never know with Andrew Stroud. He might just be playing a bit of a waiting game. Remember, I said this race is 15 laps. Oh, look, these guys aren't going to go 15 laps. Once again, the elbows come out with Seaton and Smith.
I don't think he's waiting, Phil. The pace is too hot. This is lap record material stuff. They're in the low 59, so it's all on. These guys are duking it out.
There's no doubt about that.
No one's playing. They're at it.
Look how close they are coming out of the hairpin. Now they set up for the left-hander. Sheriff's in the front. Down through the bumps they come now. Sam Smith glued to the back wheel.
And the beauty too, you mentioned, Dave Cole's got this bike handling absolutely perfect. You know, when you're 17 years old, you can't set a bike up to handle that well. And Dave Cole, multiple New Zealand champion, he's got this machine handling that well for him.
Well, it is Wade van der Arand coming into contention now because he's the next one that they will be coming up to lap.
You see the carcass there lying on the ground, the motorbike. Someone's had a big tumble. Not a good place to crash.
But I'd suggest to you, Paul, a great place to put a lap rider between yourself and second place, and that's exactly what Sam Smith's about to do here. 22, he goes past him easily now. Craig Sheriffs is caught behind him, and maybe the gap is what Sam Smith was looking for. The laps run down here at Pukekohe. This is the TT. It's one of the more prestigious titles in New Zealand motorcycling, and I think 17-year-old teenager Sam Smith from just down the road in Waiuku is going to take it because he's got that gap he needed over Craig Sheriffs. It's going to be close, but as they work their way down towards the flag now, it's the youngster that's going to carry the day. He wins the 2005 version of the TT. What a sensational 600 sports production race, and what a result for 17-year-old Sam Smith. Craig Sheriffs 0.36 seconds behind, has got to be content with second. And what about the Australian?
Well, Sam, that's pretty special.
Yeah, very special. Yeah, best result I've ever had.
Well, if you have a look at the points after the first round of the Ssangyong New Zealand Road Racing Championship, it is Craig Sheriffs on top with 65 points from Sam Smith on 57. Tied in third place is Derek McAdam and Andrew Stroud, and in fifth place it is Proceed. Favourites now, it is time for the sidecars, and you'll notice that the Australian pairing of Stacey Sallett and Kerry McLeod aren't on the grid. I can tell you that they will start from the pit lane. They've had all sorts of problems with the clutch on the rig, and there they are now just getting away in the Castrol colours, so they'll start dead last. Now it'll be interesting, Paul, to see if these guys can go all the way and win this event.
Well, I'm sure they've got to be the favourites. That is a very trick unit.
It is the number 1 rig of Andy Scrivener and Steve Bryan in the front at the moment. Behind them, number 27, and that is Dave Annan at the controls. In fact, there's a change as they come out of the kink, so it's Annan in the front now. Andy Scrivener and Kerry Bryan. An interesting story here. Kerry Bryan swinging with Andy for the first time in 4 years, and Andy Scrivener having problems with arm pump up, and he really suffers here at Pukekohe because it is predominantly a right-hand turn track, and that is the arm that pumps up. So it'll be interesting to see if Andy can do the distance, the full 11 laps to decide the TT.
You really need to be an athlete to ride things, or even passenger. I've had a crack in one of these. I couldn't believe how physical it is. It really tears your arms out of your sockets. These things accelerate like blooming rockets.
Well, look at this. It's the Kiwis coming to the fore after lap number 1. It's the national champion Scrivener down the inside. It's the Prentice brothers coming round the outside to move through into second place. Yes, they swallow up number 27, Dave Annan and Phil Duthie, so they drop down again.
Looks beautiful too, floating that wheel over the ripple strips. Great stuff.
Now we've got to find out where the Australians are. They were head and shoulders above all the competition in the previous race. They won it by the proverbial country mile. That is Stacey Sallett and Kerry McLeod. We haven't seen them yet, but remember they started in the pit lane. These guys in the front are the national champions. They'll be coming, there's nothing sure, and that's a really trick international unit too. So, you know, a lot of these machines are built in people's garages at home or in their workshops. But the British one, that is a seriously trick machine. That's right, it's an LCR Suzuki. It was running in the World Championships last season, got a top 5 finish in the World Championship, sure with a different pilot, but the Australians certainly know how to pedal it. At the moment, though, it is number 27, Dave Annan, Phil Duffy in the front. Then it's Scrivener. You see Scrivener giving him the don't argue, so, well, maybe a little bit of contact there. Well, they say rubbing's racing, Paul. Tear the paint off. I can't wait to see these things on the street circuits, Phil. Dave Annan in the front, number 27, the David Pope Transport Ashcroft Engineering sponsored rig. Then it is rig number 1. That is the defending national champion Andy Scrivener and Steve Bryan. And there we just get a glimpse of Stacey and Kerry coming through in the Castrol colours. There they are, number S, Stacey Sallett and Kerry McLeod. The big Suzuki motors are very popular for this, the Hayabusa 1300s. They're so torquey, and you really need a torquey engine when you're carrying 2 people. Well, the Suzukis, we saw them come to the fore on the two-wheeled variety, and they're doing just the same here because number 40, Stu and Darren Prentice on the Hooper Engineering Suzuki 1000 out of Hawera, now starting to feel the hot breath of the Australians, and look at that, they pass them like they're chained to posts, so the Aussies are coming. I said they won the first one comfortably. They started in the pit lane and they have cut their way through this big field of sidecars. 15 odd rigs started the racing this morning.
Seriously, oh, doesn't it look trick? See it bounce over the ripple strip? You don't want to be doing that. These things don't have a lot of suspension.
Well, I was talking to Stacey between the gap between the first and the second race, and he said this bike likes to be driven into the corners. He wasn't really looking forward to going to the street circuits here in New Zealand because he said it's more about sliding and biffing and bashing. This is a pedigree race machine, and it likes to be driven in and out of the turns. Not too much sideways action from Stacey Seller and Kerry McLeod, but good enough to get them in the front. Scrivener and Steve Bryan have no answer back in second place, and then I think it's the Prentice brothers through in third from Hawera.
You'd have to say too that this machine will be geared and made for the long flowing circuits of Europe. I mean, New Zealand circuits are pretty much stop go apart from Pukekohe.
Well, that's true. They said to me that in Australia the races are a lot longer. Okay, Pukekohe is probably one of the fastest racetracks in the southern hemisphere. In fact, I think it is the fastest on average speed. So they weren't really used to the high speeds involved, and they certainly weren't used to the long straights. More designed for corners, but getting the job done here at Pukekohe Park. This is round one of the Ssangyong New Zealand Road Racing Championship, and it is round one for the sidecars as well. And the Australians, just like their counterparts on two wheels, are here for the whole series. They want to take the title, and at the moment, I can't see anyone stopping them.
No, they're very strong. I think they're just taking a bit of a cruise now. They're way in front, really in control.
Chris and Richie Lawrence's rig just parked on the grass there at the hairpin, so they've had problems on their 600cc machine. These guys had problems. They battled to get a setup on the machine, then they had clutch problems. That's why they started in the pit lane, and they have cut their way through this field, and they are in complete command, and they take out the New Zealand TT title for sidecars, so it will go across the ditch. They couldn't do it on two wheels, but the Aussies come to the fore on three. Stacey Seller and Kerry McLeod get the win from New Zealand national champions Andrew Scrivener and Steve Bryan. Row number two, it's Scott Charlton, Jason McEwen, great to see him back, Chris Haldane also back, and Jared Love. All the horsepower in the world, and real problems getting off the line there for, I think it was Dean Fulton. Once again, Paul Pavlidis joins me in commentary, and I can see the blood starting to boil, Paul. This should be something special.
Oh, sure was, and you're dead right, it was Dean Fulton. He got the big bunny hops, and he'll be just fuming under that helmet.
But it is the three-time Australian Superbike champion, well, virtually a four-time champion because he tied this past year with Josh Brooks on a Honda in the Australian title chase. He wants to come to New Zealand and win the New Zealand title. To do that, he's got to turn back some very fast Kiwis, and one of them putting the acid on Giles at the moment is Ray Clee from Kumeu, and what about that? He takes the front running.
Well, I tell you what, he's going to have his hands full because these Kiwi boys aren't going to roll over. Ray Clee is just blisteringly fast around Pukekohe.
Well, a lot of people say, don't they, that he is the master on the Auckland track here at Pukekohe Park, and he's showing you just how he does it. Giles in second place, then watch for Jared Love on the Honda, and right in behind him it is Andrew Stroud riding under letter A. Now the reason for that is he is still yet to decide what is happening with the outcome of last year's Superbike title.
Yeah, the dispute's been going on for a while now, so let's hope that gets resolved because we're talking, our two top riders disputing over that number one plate, Tony Rees and Andrew Stroud. Let's get it over with and get on with the racing.
What racing we've got here at Pukekohe Park Raceway, round one of the Ssangyong Road Race Championship, and the challenge comes once again from Sean Giles, the man from Lithgow in New South Wales, putting the pressure on Kumeu's Ray Clee, but Clee's and wake up to it at the moment, and look at the gap starting to form already. The pace here is so hot. We saw the minute mark broken in the 600s. I think we might see some track records go here in the Superbikes, Paul.
I think you're absolutely right. They're knocking on those low 57s, and that's V8 touring car, Australian V8 touring car times.
Well, that's right. The supercars go around here and around about the high 56s, low 57s. These guys, 1,000 cc's, most of them running around about 185 horsepower. Amazing power to weight ratio. That's why the front end wants to climb into the sky all the time coming out of these tight turns, and that's why they hit nearly 200 miles an hour coming down the back straight at Pukekohe Park Raceway. And Sean Giles still hasn't got an answer for Ray Klee, and now Andrew Stroud's joined the party.
He sure has. Andrew Stroud was probably about 15 bike lengths behind the previous lap. He must have put in a demon lap, and he's caught right up now. Now we'll see some fireworks.
Well, it's something you can do. The rider on the brother Suzuki, he's had some World Superbike experience this past season. He's learned a lot. They've fiddled the bike to just about how he likes it. And, well, some say he's a slow starter, but I tell you what, once you get a lap into it, Andrew's got to be right there, and you can never discount him.
He's so good under brakes. That's really one of his ace cards. You know, when it trumps it down on those last laps, he can really turn it on under brakes.
So Stroud in third place. The race leader, though, is the man that builds his engines, and that is Ray Klee. Sean Giles is right there, and here comes Scott Charlton on the SsangYong Suzuki, chasing Jared Love from Hamilton. Jared's done some development work on the off-season on the big Honda as well. They've got a little bit more horsepower, some engine bits, and I see they've got Norman Cobb setting up the rear suspension. I know they're having trouble with getting a handle on the way the bike was reacting to some of these fast turns.
Well, it's a good bike. I'm not quite sure if it's got quite the horsepower of those Suzukis. Those K5s are a special motorbike. You know, they're a bit of a landmark machine.
Well, you see the knee scrapers, the sparks coming off them as they work their way through the Jenny and home sweeper. This is the battle further down through the field. 69, Jared Love on the Castrol Honda. Right in behind him, it's Scott Charlton, the 26-year-old Victorian from Berwick, and he's riding on the SsangYong Suzuki team. And these Australians are here for the full season. They want the New Zealand title as much as the Kiwis. To do that, as I've said it before, they've got to get round some fast New Zealanders. Ray Klee leading the charge.
Well, Charlton finished 7th in the Australian Championship, and he was the second privateer home. So he's a class act. You know, it's great to see the top Aussies coming over here. They're not also runs. You know, these are their champions and front runners.
Well, none better than Sean Giles, the Suzuki on the inside of the racetrack, now going into the front running. 3 times the Australian Superbike champion, drew this season with Josh Brooks on the Honda. A very, very competitive season. You heard him say in the interview he wants to use the New Zealand Championship as a bit of training for the upcoming Australian season, and it's working for him at the moment because he's in the front. But as they come back into view out of the kink, there's been a change. It's number 36, Ray Klee, back in the front running. Look at the way the bike dives down under the heavy braking. The rear wheel just skipping on the ground. That's how hard he is braking this machine. Andrew Stroud right there. Well, Giles must have had a problem, Pav, because he's dropped back to 4th, I think.
Yeah, it only takes one small error and you're out the back door. And Andrew Stroud, he'll pounce on you, and he's going to put in a couple of hot laps now, I'm sure. Let's see if Giles can claw it back.
Well, it's the Suzukis that are holding sway here at Pukekohe Park Raceway, and Ed Molin's going to have a grandstand view of this because he's about to be swallowed up by the fastest of them. And that was pretty darn close. Ed'll have to have a little look in the mirrors, I think. That was very close indeed.
And I think that cost Andrew Stroud big time.
It did. You can see the gap has opened up now, so Klee has got a bit of breathing space. We said there was no relent in the 600s. Well, it's just the same in the Superbikes. Look at Andrew Stroud, the brother Suzuki.
Andrew Stroud, you know, he can just dig so deep. He's got years and years of experience at international level as well. And when you really need to turn it up, he's got the depth.
Well, I talked to him between the qualifying and the first race, and I said to him, you know, a lot of people say that you're getting a bit too old for this now. Maybe it's time to hang up the helmet, but when you're riding like this, why would you even bother?
Yeah. He
is still the class of the New Zealand motorcycling community.
I would laugh at anybody who said that about Andrew Stroud. He's a dude, and look at the pace he's setting now. 57.3, brilliant.
So the lap record gets a bit of a hiding again here at Pukekohe Park Raceway. We saw it go in the 600s, we've seen it go in the Superbikes, and there's racing to go, so I wouldn't be surprised if it gets lowered again. Andrew Stroud all over the back of his mechanic. Ray Klee builds the engine in Andrew Stroud's brother Suzuki, and Stroud goes round the outside of him, but has he left his braking just a fraction late? No! He holds on to it, squares the turn, comes out big sideways, black strips of rubber as they get back on the gas, round the left-hander and up over the hill again. It happened so fast here at Pukekohe Park Raceway. In under a minute, they've completed the 2.8 kilometre circuit, and Klee's not done with yet, Pav.
No, it's going to be a sprint down the straight, but that's what I was telling you.
So Stroud gets the win, but it was oh so close again. 0.113 of a second between Andrew Stroud and Ray Klee. Sean Giles comes through in third place. Then it was Scott Charlton, Jared Love, Dean Fulton, Chris Haldane, and Timaru's John Lowther.
2 to go. Did you think you had it?
No, never when Andy's behind you. I knew he was going to come through on the brakes, and yeah, I tried to brake as late as I could, and just wasn't enough that time. But we've learned a few lessons for the next race, so we'll see what we can do.
Welcome back to Pukekohe Park Raceway for round one of the SsangYong New Zealand Road Racing Championships. Well, we saw an exciting TT race in the 600s. I think, Paul Pavlidis, we can expect the same here in Production Superbikes. Watch for number 36, Ray Klee. Andrew Stroud starts right alongside him, and it looks like it's Dean Fulton taking the inside run, but he's paid the price. But I think it's a Honda that's gone into the front anyway.
No, it's Sean Giles on the Suzuki K5.
It is. The three-time Australian Superbike champion leads them through the S's for the first of 15 laps.
Wow, that was a whole lot better start too, that time by the Honda, by Dean Fulton. Boy, he messed up last race, but this time he's doing it.
So 36-year-old Sean Giles from Lithgow in the front. Here comes the challenge. We knew it wouldn't take long, and it's Ray Klee. Now, he's won this event twice already, so he knows what it takes to take the TT title.
Yeah, Ray Klee won on a Honda in 1998 and Suzuki in 2003.
He currently sits in second place. Behind him, it is Andrew Stroud, then it's Jared Love. So as you said, Paul, a much better start for the Honda boys.
One thing I like about Ray Klee in these long races, he keeps his composure, and he's able to rattle off good laps, one after the other.
Well, speaking about rattle, a big head shake as he works his way over the stripe and completes the first of what should be 15 torrid laps. Giles in the front, then it's Klee, then it's Stroud. Then I think we would go back to the first of the Hondas, and I'm pretty sure that would be Jared Love. Right in behind him, his teammate, and that is Dean Fulton. Another one that's been having real handling problems, but maybe he's come good at the right time. Tell you who has come good, and that's Andrew Stroud down the inside of his mechanic. Can he hold on to it? Yes, he can. Stroud gets a spot on the brother Suzuki, but he hasn't got an answer for Sean Giles.
He's got to make sure we don't want anybody bolting. These guys will be really conscious not letting anyone get a runaway.
You know, we talked about Giles coming over here for a bit of training before the Australian titles. Well, he's brought his Australian team manager and tuner, Phil Tainton, with him, and they have put together a bike built in Australia but to New Zealand rules, and it's ruling the roost at the moment, Paul Pav.
Yeah, but I tell you what, if he thinks he's come over here for a holiday, he's in for some bad news. These Kiwi boys are going to give him a dust-up.
Well, I'm sure he's raced against the likes of Andrew Stroud and Tony Rees before, of course, and I'm sure he treats them with a lot of respect.
Yeah, he's actually a really nice guy too, and just really professional. It's a pleasure to have these top Aussie boys here. So here comes the Honda under brakes and look pretty smooth. I think they're making some progress on the handling. I mean, they're a grouse bike. I mean, they won the Australian Superbike Championship, so, you know, they've got the potential. It's just a matter of dialing them in and getting them tuned.
Well, you know, while we've been talking, Sean Giles has shuffled his way back to third place and now is getting some real attention from Dean Fulton, a past New Zealand Superbike champion, made the switch a couple of seasons ago now to the Red Machine, the Honda Red Riders team. There he is, bike number 100, now living in Nelson, as fit as I've ever seen him, Paul.
Yeah, he is. He's a super athlete. I just love that tailpipe at the back of the Honda to you. It looks gorgeous.
Looks like something out at World Superbikes. And we mentioned World Superbikes, of course. Suzuki dominant this year with Troy Corser. Suzuki dominant in round one of the SsangYong New Zealand Road Racing Championship. This man in the front, Kumu's favourite son, Ray Klee. Oh, I think I might have spoken too soon because Andrew Stroud tries to go around the outside of the hairpin. We say it so many times in the commentary in the cars that you can't go around the outside in that corner. It's the long way round, and you just can't do it.
And these guys are so competitive. If you make one small error, they're going to dust you up, push you backwards. You know, there's no gentleman moves out there. They're playing for keeps. It's all on.
Now, Paul, you've done lap after lap round here at Pukekohe, and you say the secret is to get a flow and to sort of look a corner or maybe two corners ahead. So really concentrate on what's coming up, not what you're doing.
Absolutely. You know, it's a flowing circuit. I used to look at least a corner ahead and try and line myself up and get the power on early. You've got to get good drive onto the back straight as well. It's such a long straight. You've got to carry good speed.
A great example of that is the move there by Sean Giles, because he's passed Andrew Stroud and now he's right on Ray Klee once again. You said that a small mistake is going to cost you time. We saw that from Stroudy. Big wheelie from the man from Hamilton, back on number A in third place at the moment. Once again, the lap traffic are going to play a part in this, whether they want to or not. It's Ed Molan on the Ducati from Whitianga. He does the sensible thing, tries to get out of the way of this very fast freight train, swallowing him up as they go across the stripe.
Well, they're playing for keeps. You know, these things are doing 300 kilometres an hour nearly down the back straight. You know, you've got no room for error. You've got to have a clean view.
Suzuki, 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 and I think Suzuki. So the...
well, the boys from Wanganui will be happy, won't they?
Well, they will. They're ruling the roost here in the Superbikes.
Well, I think we've got a big gap too with Tony Rees retired. You know, he was the Yamaha front man. I'm sure if he was still riding, he'd be pushing these blokes.
Well, talk about pushing these blokes. Scott Charlton's come from nowhere, and now he's in contention as well. Big wheelie, 180-odd horsepower from these machines.
It's very difficult to keep the front wheel down. You know, in the first 3 gears, they just want a wheel stand. They're very powerful. If you don't ride motorbikes, I can't stress to you how physical this is.
Now watch where Andrew Stroud is as they come over the sweeper and down across the stripe once again. Now he's back in 4th place. A while ago he was challenging for 2nd. He's been shuffling his way back and forward through this field in the opening laps. Now is that a strategy or is that just a mark of the pace that the guys are going in front of him?
Well, they're circulating in the low 57s, so same as the 600 race, it's all on at the moment. There's no strategy, they're just riding as fast as they can.
Well, the fastest on the circuit at the moment, we're at the front of the field anyway, is going to be Scott Charlton. Round the outside. Can he get around Ray Clee? They're side by side, handlebar to handlebar. Clee's got better track position. Here comes Sean Giles, the Kiwi, the meat in the Australian sandwich. He holds onto it and stays in the front. Round the left-hander they come now. It's Kumu's Ray Clee. Then it is Sean Giles from Lithgow. And then it is Victoria's Scott Charlton.
He's a great engineer too, Ray Clee. You know, he's just got perfect machine set up. He builds extremely fast motorbikes. It's just great to see.
Well, we talk about 57-second laps. You've got to be having a fast motorbike to do that. And Ray Clee, as you said, Paul, doing it. He builds the engines for Andrew Stroud. We said that Phil Tainton from Suzuki Australia building the engines for Sean Giles, number S there on your screen. Right in behind him, it's the brother Suzuki, the corporate consumables sponsored Andrew Stroud out of Hamilton, trying to fly away round the 3-time Australian Superbike champion. While they're doing that, fighting for 3rd and 4th, Charlton's put a bit of breathing space between himself and Giles, and now is right on the attack with Ray Clee.
Well, Charlton's used to running at the pointy end. He finished 7th in the Australian Championship. You know, like the Aussie guys, I don't believe are any faster than the Kiwi boys, but there's more of them, so he's used to duking it out with a bunch of riders, so it's great to see them here.
Well, you know, we say you see handlebar to handlebar stuff and elbows out in motocross. We've seen it today at Pukekohe Park Raceway in round 1 of the Sangon Road Racing Championship. If it's going to be like this through the 5-round series, it is going to be something special. You don't want to miss any of the upcoming rounds. It is sensational here at Pukekohe.
Well, Phil, too, you're right. It is elbow to elbow, but there's an enormous amount of respect. These guys know the danger involved in this. You know, they're not going to do anything stupid.
Scott Charlton not doing anything stupid and going back into the front.
Now coming over the top of the hill here, you know, this is a 120-mile-an-hour corner. It might not look that fast on your screen, but believe me, that's fast.
You were telling me of a great adage. You can compare this to driving along the motorway and then falling out of the back of a ute at 200-odd kilometres an hour. No one wants to do that. These guys, least of anybody.
Yeah, you see the front forks bouncing up and down. Pukekohe, even though it's had a lot of maintenance and, you know, they're trying to keep it up to a top international standard, it's still quite bumpy on a motorbike.
And that's something I guess we should talk about, is it's the setup of the machine, that the suspension plays such an important part nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the Oldham's technician's here and he does a great job helping these guys tune their forks and suspension.
And we talked, of course, Norman Cobb helping out the Castrol Honda riders, renowned suspension technician from motocross, now transferring those skills onto the road racing scene. Meantime, Charlton just getting away a little bit. This is the most gap we've seen between 1st and 2nd. Normally they are very, very close together, less than 0.10 of a second. Now Charlton may be making the break for freedom.
It's great to see too SsangYong placid all over that bike. We need to drag in more sponsors from outside the industry.
Well, he's part of the Brian Bernard racing team, and I asked Brian at the start of the day, I said, what was the thinking behind bringing the Australians over? He said, simple enough, Phil, we want to win the national championship. We think we can do it. We've certainly got the bikes, we've got the backing. Maybe we're lacking a few of the riders. The Australians are filling that gap, and this guy at the moment is covering himself in glory.
Sure is. Sparks flying off his knee scrapers. I love it.
Oh, just when we say he's doing something fantastic, he makes a little bit of a mistake, and that allows Ray Clee to slip up the inside and go back into the front. And there is his shadow, Andrew Stroud. So the Kiwis now working over the Australian.
Ray Clee will be doing everything in his power to put down some really fast laps out front. Try and gap them. You know, if you can get that 4 or 5 bike lengths, it makes it really hard to get out braked at the end of the back straight. He's won this twice before. He knows what to do.
Well, we said too before that he is a master, a specialist here at Pukekohe, and he knows just how to get the most out of these 1000cc superbikes.
You watch him too, coming over the top of the hill, like he's incredible, and he's the fastest guy, you know, coming over the top of the hill. Just keeps the thing snaking and wheel spinning coming out.
Andrew Stroud right over the outside, but I think he's outbraked himself. He has.
He's mucked it up.
All he can do to keep it off the grass. Well, that's a brilliant recovery, but it means he's back into third place, and the laps are winding down here, and the Australian now challenging Ray Clee. They'll head to the flag. Will it be the New Zealander? Will it be the Australian? It's Cumu's. Ray Clee's got the slight advantage as they run to Chris Costello's checkered flag. Number 36, Ray Clee, is going to make it 3 TT wins. He knows he's got it. Charlton comes with a late rattle, but I don't think it'll be good enough, and that's the way the officials saw it. Look at that, 0.1 of a second between first and second. Andrew Stroud's got to be content with third, and then it was Sean Giles.
Ray, you've won it twice before, but I guess that was the most close racing and the fastest you've ever gone around here.
Yeah, I was out of steam on about the 5th or 6th lap, and I was just hanging in there, and I saw this flash, and I thought it was Sean. Oh no, it's somebody new. So yeah, it was like, and I sat back a bit, and yeah, just sort of had a look around. Then I thought, okay, and had a go, and I didn't realise it was the last lap, so I knew I just had to make myself pretty wide and park it right in the middle of the heap. And then I saw Andrew coming flashing up on the outside, but he ran a bit deep, so yeah, it was. I thought I had it, then he flashed past next to me on the line, so yeah, I wasn't sure really until I got back, but yeah, I'm wrapped. It's been a hard weekend, so it's sort of good to have a good result.
Hard weekend for the Superbikes, and after 3 rounds it is Andrew Stroud on top with 66 points from Ray Clee on 61, and Australian 3-time Superbike champion Sean Giles third on 49 points. Next week, watch for coverage from Ruapuna of the Ssangyong New Zealand Road Race Championships.
Let's jump forward a little bit now to 2008. The place, Wellington Harbour. It's round 4 of the New Zealand Offshore Powerboat Championships.
This is absolutely positively Wellington. It's round 4 of the Cougar Marine Inex Metals New Zealand Offshore Powerboat Series, and it comes to you from an inner harbour course in the nation's capital. Last year, well, it was a battle of the big boats. It was Fairview Windows and Doors and Sleepyhead. This year, will it be the same? We caught up with Warren and Scott Lewis.
We've made major changes for today's race. We went into this season thinking that top speed would win the race, and unfortunately it hasn't for us. We've suffered badly from not enough acceleration out of the corners, so we've changed to some new propellers yet again, unfortunately, and changed gear ratios. So for today's race, we're probably going to be down in the vicinity of 5 to 6 miles an hour on top speed, but we'll be accelerating a lot faster and harder out of the corners. So we're hoping that that'll make us a wee bit more competitive.
It has been a dream start for Sleepyhead. 3 wins from 3 starts. Will Wellington be the same?
At Maraetai there, we noticed the guys getting closer to us, and I know a few of the teams have been out doing a lot of work on their speeds and their cornering the last couple of weeks, so we expect a tighter race today. There's only one long leg down the going north. A lot easier driving in a straight line, but then that's not racing, is it? Racing's all about, you know, cornering and speed. So it should be interesting. It's come down to cornering, which I think is winning and losing the race.
Coming off a win in Maraetai but having an up and down season is addictive racing. Dave Aldridge explains.
It's kind of almost tactics on the day and who's getting around the corners the best at the moment, which is deciding the races. 2 wins and 1 fourth where we blew an engine, so we're happy with the performance of the boat. We just got to stop breaking things. We were out about half an hour ago, had a run. The water was absolutely glass flat, so a lot of the big boats won't be happy. We've got pretty good performance in those conditions.
Break glass looks to be the combination to beat, but Travis Thompson says they've got a few niggles.
One of our engines ain't performing as well as we'd like it to. Hopefully we've fixed it. We'll soon find out today.
Tim Fellows' boat has a distinctive sound. It sounds a little bit like his wife's home appliance.
No, to be honest, our game plan today is to win. Otherwise I've got to buy my wife a new sewing machine. So there's a bit of a challenge there in the household. She reckoned she was going to sell my boat motor if I didn't win today. With the start boat picking us up part way down the course, you need to watch and make sure the other boats have started, and then get yourself together and find a nice clean line, because we're a little bit quicker than the Honda boat. Simply they're running a bigger engine, and so we want to be clear of those by the first buoy so you can then get into your own race. Probably more of a top speed boat. I'm still learning to corner it at pace, so hopefully we don't do a turtle today and end up upside down.
Well, this is race headquarters at Evans Bay. as some of the bigger boats get craned in. This is race headquarters for round 4 of the Cougar Marine NX Metals New Zealand Offshore Powerboat Series. Flat conditions here in Wellington as we go to the start, and Fairview Windows and Doors have got a flyer. You're on board with them here. The yellow flag is still flying, so they preempted it just a little bit early, so they've got to get off the throttles, and that's going to play into the hand of their opposition. Now the green flag drops, and let's have a look at the start here for Fairview Windows and Doors. Well, they thought they had the dream start. They've been caught napping, and away goes Sleepyhead. Peter Turner and Craig Archer going for win number 4. 3 on the go so far. They've been unbeatable, and they've done it like this. They just rocket away from the start, and that's exactly what they're doing as we look out the back of this 1100 horsepower Phantom. And look at the boats in the distance. They've got no answer to this combination at the moment. Perspective here, and we look out the windscreen of Profloors, and once again they're being distanced by their sister boat. There is our chase helicopter. In fact, that is the safety helicopter you see flying in the sky, as Profloors backing around about 4th place at the moment. And that rooster tail off to the left of shot is Sleepyhead, and there goes Fairview Windows and Doors as these boats head back towards Evans Bay. It's an elongated L-shaped course here in Wellington, and for the last couple of years now it has been very benign conditions. 2 years ago it was a rolling sea swell and it caught so many out, but look at this, ideal conditions, so we can expect some top speeds here as our helicopter zooms in on Fairview Windows and Doors. We go back on board with them. Got right away. Well, you see there, Cure Kids up into 2nd place now as they begin this long 180-degree turn and head back out in the inner harbour here. Ideal conditions, fantastic vantage points all around the Oriental Parade and the Evans Bay Marina for the big spectator fleet here watching. There is Addictive. There is Family Boats, and Family Boats have got a fantastic start, and we go back into the air, and this is the start of the 60-mile race. Now this season in the Cougar Marine NX Metals New Zealand Championship, they've decided to go with a split start for safety reasons. And this is on board with Building Solutions, Michael Knight and Shannon Thickpenny. First season for Michael to be the owner of his own destiny, I guess you'd say. He's driving the Building Solutions boat. It's the ex-Tony Coleman boat. Of course, Tony Coleman moved up to the superboat class. This is Finance Point, and this would be leading the 60-mile race at the moment in the early going. Mark Diggleman and Craig Parsons out of Napier. And in 2nd place would be Spirit of Cheyenne. This is Chris Neal, Dan Bridge and Alex Smith out of Auckland. So he's got a few passengers along for the ride. This twin big block powered boat out of the United States of America. Very capable probably of running with this boat, but of course the classic boats are governed to 80 miles an hour. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later as making the first of the inner harbour turns. Sleepyhead in complete control, and it's only early days. Well, this is ominous signs for their opposition. There is Fairview Windows and Doors just working away through the wake of Sleepyhead. Now, not too far behind them is Cure Kids, so it's been a great start for Tony Coleman and Wayne Carson. But these guys are consigned once again to 2nd place. And you saw at the start, they just tried to preempt that start and it didn't work for them. Back on board here with Profloors, Wayne Velder and Ross Christensen. History made early this season when Wayne and Grant Velder split up for the first time in many, many years. Grant was originally helping out Tony Coleman, but with the demise of placemakers and Grant trying to get the amazing Jesse James back on the water, Wayne Carson stepped in Cure Kids, and well, Grant has been consigned to the spectator ranks for the moment because there's problems, major problems, engine problems at Maraetai for Jesse James. No problems at all for this guy though. Sleepyhead, Peter Turner and Craig Archer. What an experienced combination, and really that's the secret of their success this season. A lot of new combinations, a lot of brand new boats, a lot of new boats with different engines, and well, a lot of these teams haven't quite got to grips with the situation, but boy oh boy, the Sleepyhead boys have. Grant Smith and Dave Aldridge in Addictive, coming off a win from last season. This is Grant's daughter. This is Kelly Smith and Ray Glass. Now they're currently sitting in 2nd place. Out in front it's Bob Smith and Mark Titini in Family Boats. They got a jet of a start and have disappeared from the rest of the superboat light class. Well, we could call them the skater class because all of the top runners using the American built skater hull. Kelly all concentration on the wheel here. Travis Thompson working the throttles on Ray Glass. be a coup for her and for her sponsors if they can win this event, because it's co-sponsored by Ray Glass along with the Wellington City Council. Just got a glimpse there of Doosan. Kerry Gleeson, brand new boat for him. But it is Grant Smith in Addictive, and here is some real drama because this is family boats, and can you believe it, from hero to zero in as much time as it takes to snap your fingers. They've got a mechanical issue by the look of it. Bob Smith and Mark Titini. Well, the boat is very fast, but boy oh boy, they've had a few problems this season so far. We go back to the 60-mile race. This is Diggleman and Parsons and Finance Point. Look at the different seating position there. The Occy Manifeld boats, they sit line astern, and these boats work so well in the flat conditions. They haven't got the horsepower that Spirit of Cheyenne or Marine Works have got, so this is the battle in the classics. Mike Cameron from Howick and Marine Works, Chris Aussie Neal in Spirit of Cheyenne. And this is the Greg Brink boat, but it's not Greg Brink driving it this weekend. It is Jeff and Jackie Week as we go back on board with our Formula Honda runners, and this is Building Solutions. Michael Knight just getting a bit of a shower there from one of the following boats. These 19-foot Sonic Hull, 150 horsepower Honda engines, absolutely stock standard. Oh, someone's got it wrong as they go around the mark, and Shannon Thickpenny wants to have a good look at that and really not watch what he's doing. I'm not too sure which boat that was, as Sleepyhead rounds them up as well. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky for these guys in this inner harbour course. Back on board here with Fairview Windows and Doors, safely in second place. There's Sleepyhead off to their right.
Roger, go over.
So just heard Scott Lewis say they're going to move over and get a little bit closer to Sleepyhead. Well, this will be the new leader now in Superboat Lights. This is Kelly Smith and Travis Thompson and Ray Glass, another skater hull as we go back on board and watch Kelly. Now that we can't hear it, she'll be talking continuously to Travis, her throttle man. There is Doosan. What a dream debut it's been for Andrew Coulin on the steering wheel this time, and Kerry Gleeson. It's her first time Andrew gets a drive. He's certainly involved in the team with the maintenance of the boat. Ray Glass has got the field shot to pieces with the demise of family boats, and that's bad luck for Bob Smith and Mark Titini. As I said before, we've heard since contacting Race Radio that it was a fuel blockage problem. Well, there is Finance Point. That is Diggleman in the front. Now, this is the other boat in the Super 60 class, and this is Top Line Builders, Tony Beetham and Jonathan Hack from Auckland. Now, the Super 60 class comes about by the demise of the 100-mile race for the Sport Classic boats. Well, this is Conica Minolta just making it hard there. This is Jeff and Jackie Week. Now, both those two started off in Formula Honda, as did the boat's owner, and that was Greg Brink. He was the inaugural champion in Formula Honda, as both Wayne Velder and Ross Christensen goes past. Now, this is the boat that's currently leading Sport 60, and this is Luke Richardson and Soren Stewart out of Christchurch, and this is Wizard. And they've got a good advantage at the moment. And the catamaran certainly suited to the conditions here on Wellington Harbour. Wellington City Council and Ray Glass Marine bring you round 4 of the Cougar Marine NX Metals New Zealand Offshore Powerboat Series. From here we go to another inner harbour course, and that is in Tauranga. But for the moment, all the action here, and a big spectator crowd watching all the action too. This is another one of the big field of the 60-mile boats. This is from the classic class, Cafe Royale, past champion Glenn Urquhart and Darren Urquhart out of Whangaparoa. So when you consider that this boat was a standout in its day, technology really has come a long way. Light Industries, this is Mike Urquhart, so this is Glenn's son, and with him, Darren Wood. Light Industries, the boat that was the champion in Formula Hondas 2 seasons ago. They're back a little ways in the field at the moment. So too is back to base 6, Glenn and Chris Powell out of Hamilton. Cougar Marine, Mikey Smith, well, he won round 1 in Taupo, and he's slowly getting his way to the front here in round number 4 as we go back on board here with Building Solutions. Michael Knight and Shannon Thickpenny, and I think that might be Cougar Marine just off to their right. And this could be the battle for first and second we're watching as they work their way back down towards the cityscape here at Wellington. Miss Electropar in it as well. Mark Helms still looking for his first ever class win in Formula Honda. Got years and years of experience in offshore racing, in marine stuff, but he's never had a win in Formula Honda. Well, she's a wild old ride as you get around the marks, as you come out of the shelter of Evans Bay. This is back to basics. This is the Pals. And you see what looks so easy for the big boats, the likes of Ray Glass, is a bit of a struggle for the Formula Hondas. The waves not coming in the right sequence for the smaller boats, the 19-footers, all these boats around about 33 and 32 feet long. Mega horsepower. This is Doosan Construction. Andrew Coulin, Kerry Gleeson. Now they're going to move up a position as well, because Race Radio are telling us that there's more problems for Team Addictive Racing. Grant Smith and Dave Aldridge are down to one engine. Well, keeping it in the family, this is Cougar Marine, and this is Mikey Smith. This is Grant's son, and Matt Hopkins in Cougar Marine, Formula Honda. They're the leaders at the moment, so they got away from Building Solutions. And that's going to make a dent in the point situation as well, because Cougar Marine won round one in Taupo. They've had seconds and thirds, and they are looking to win here in Wellington as well. There is the boat in second place, Building Solutions. This is Michael Knight and Shannon Thickpenny. Now, Shannon is brand new to any form of offshore powerboating, but Michael Knight, of course, teamed with his father, Mark Helms, last year in Miss Electripar. Now, I can tell you Miss Electripar is back in fourth place, but with Bryce Helms, along with his dad, Mark. Now, splitting the two Helms, of course, Mike Perro Mortgages, Grant Garrity out of Havelock North, so he's having another brilliant run here in Formula Honda, and there he is. Now, Grant, the word was that he was going to change his co-driver. It has been his wife up until this round, and that's Cynthia, but my spies tell me that it might be his young son sitting alongside him. We'll get that confirmed for you. No need to confirm anything here, only the fact is that these guys are sitting back in fourth place. This is Pro Floors. Wayne Velder and Ross Christensen. Ross Christensen, all the experience in the world as we go back on board. Looking down the left, Sponson from the cockpit. And you can see for these super boats, and they're all alike nowadays, remember, they're all powered by the big block Chevys, the twin big block Chevs, electronic fuel injection. So all the power plants are equal. It comes down to preparation and hull design. Most of them are skaters. Here's Cure Kids. Now they're currently sitting in third place. This is a brand new boat this season for Tony Coleman. Wayne Carson sitting on the throttles. All the experience in the world, but it's all new to Tony Carson, but he's making a fantastic job of it at the moment. Third place behind these guys. This is Fairview Windows and Doors. Well, you could call them Mr. Second Place this season, because that's where they've finished every time, and so far it's been behind these guys, Craig Archer and Peter Turner. They are the defending champions. That's why they run the NZ number one in Sleepyhead. And as they turn and head out towards the harbour entrance again, they have got no opposition here. Superboat Lights, well, it's Ray Glass now, because you heard before we've lost Addictive. We go back on board here with Kelly Smith, and she looks like she's just going for a bit of a Sunday drive. But I can tell you she'll be concentrating hard, just trying to place the boat exactly where Travis will be telling her to do so he can stay on the throttles. This combination is gelled right from the word go. And here's another combination that's gelled well, although it's Andrew Coulin on the wheel this time with Kerry Gleeson. Kerry owns the boat. Doosan is the boat. It's another one of the skater hulls. And they are currently sitting in third place in Superboat Lights, but they're not going to catch these guys. They are away. Ray Glass will win here at Wellington in the Superboat Light class. From our helicopter, just making this wide 180-degree turn. There is Wizard. They will win the 60-mile race by the look of it in the Sport 60 class. The Catamans ruling the day here at Wellington. It's round 4 of the Cougar Marine NX Metals New Zealand Offshore Powerboat Series. Pretty benign harbour conditions, but some great racing and a huge crowd watching the action. While I talked about great racing, it looks like Konica Minolta, Jeff and Jackie Week starting to chase down Wizard. Maybe they're going to run out of laps here. Multi-lap course, of course, for the 100-mile races. And 2 races within one, really, a 60-mile race and a 100-mile race. But by a strange coincidence, they finish around about the same time, such as the speed difference. These boats will be hitting over 100 miles an hour easily in these benign conditions on Wellington Harbour. Sleepyhead, well, they've led it from the flagfall. They've been dominant, as they have been in all the previous rounds. Looking out the back of Sleepyhead, we're just looking for Fairview Windows and Doors, and we can't see them at the moment. There they are now, so there's probably around about 40 seconds in it, I would think. And that is night and day in the close racing we've seen in the previous 3 rounds. So once again, it looks like Warren and Scott Lewis are going to have to be happy with settling for second place. although I know they won't be. They do extensive testing before they come to each of these rounds. They try and get the best out of themselves and the boats. You're on board with Warren and Scott Lewis and Fairview Windows and Doors. Ahead of them, a long way ahead of them, Sleepyhead. There is Sleepyhead in the distance. And there is Pro Floors. Now they're going to finish fourth, I think, in the Superboat class. And that will give them fourth overall. Still got a bit of tinkering to do with that boat since they had problems on the Waitemata Harbour at the final round. Well, these guys have got to be happy with their performance. That was Tony Coleman and Wayne Carson. Well, these guys will be happy with their performance as well because they've led it from the flag fall. We're talking about the 60-mile race. Mark Diggleman and Craig Parsons in Finance Point. They will win the 60-mile race overall, and they will also win the Super 60 class. There is Top Line Builders. They'll be second in Super 60. Well, this is Spirit of Cheyenne. This is Chris Aussie Neal out of Auckland in his Fountain. Now, he will win the Classic class, but he will finish third in the 60-mile race, but that's a good effort. And here is some problems here for Tim Fellows. Now, you heard him say in the interview that he had to win the race or he has to sell the engine in his boat to get his wife a new sewing machine. Well, maybe she'll be at the Singer or the Brother Shop. And some more problems here for Cafe Royale. Well, the veterans have stuck problems again. Third place in Formula Honda. This is Grant Garrity out of Havelock North. Mike Perro Mortgages is the boat. Man that's been around for the last 2 seasons in Formula Honda, just continues to get better. Well, looks like another good result here for back to base 6. Glenn and Chris Powell out of Hamilton, currently sitting at about 5th place. This man is leading it though, and he is a man now. He's just a boy when he first started in Formula Hondas. He was one of the originals in his boat Bad Boys. Well, now Mikey Smith will be leading the points in Formula Honda in Cougar Marine. This is the championship winning boat from last year of the Bartletts. We go back to Superboat Light. This is Doosan, and they are the only other finisher in the class because, of course, we lost Family Boats early on after about lap number 2 with a fuel blockage, and then we lost Addictive with an engine seized at around about half distance. So it's going to be second place, and that's a good lot of points for the championship, but they're not going to catch these two. This is Kelly Smith and Travis Thompson. Both of these two started in Formula Hondas in different boats, of course. Travis in Honda Marine, Kelly in the Gambler. They've moved up. And as they round the mark for the last time, Doosan, well, they're going to have to be content with second because they're not going to catch Rayglass unless Rayglass has a problem. But their reliability has been very, very good. Closing stages of the 100-mile race as we go back on board here with Fairview Windows and Doors. You're watching Warren Lewis on the throttles. Scott doing the driving. Another combination that works so very, very well. But it hasn't worked well enough to peg these guys back. They are going to win here in Wellington and make it 4 out of 4. A dream season for Peter Turner and Craig Archer. Well, I think in the last couple of laps, maybe Fairview have just closed them down a little bit, but perhaps Peter Turner has just backed off. You can see from the way that Warren's jumping around there that even though the conditions are pretty flat here by Wellington standards, the drivers and the throttle men still take a fair old pounding. These guys sitting in second place, remember, where they have been for most of the race. Cure Kids in third. This brand new Skater Hull twin big block Chevy. Electronic fuel injected engine sitting in the back of it. Well, not quite the power of the Cure Kids or the Fairview Windows and Doors boat, but this is a dominant performance for Mark Diggleman and Craig Parsons. They have led the 60-mile race from the flag fall. You can see a rooster tail, or should I say a wake off to their left, and I think that's a boat they're about to lap here. It has been a brilliant performance for this combination. And as we zoom in from a helicopter shot, you can see the fairly radical seating positions. They sit line astern. There's plenty of communication between driver and navigator, and there's plenty of communication going on in this boat. I'm sure this is Rayglass. Well, they're going to extend their points lead in the Superboat Lights Championship here because they're going to win here at Wellington. And so too are these guys, and what a season they're having. 4 from 4. They are unbeatable on the water in the Cougar Marine NX Metals New Zealand Offshore Powerboat Championship so far. We're at half distance. There's lots more racing to go, but can anyone keep these guys in sight? across the line, and the checkered flag goes to Peter Turner and Craig Archer. In second place it will be Warren and Scott Lewis in Fairview Windows and Doors. Third place will be Tony Coleman and Wayne Carson, and in fourth it'll be Wayne Velder and Ross Christensen in Pro Floors. Meanwhile, over in Superboat Light, Kelly Smith and Travis Thompson win again in Wellington from Andrew Coolin and Kerry Gleeson in second place. In the 60-mile race, Mark Diggelman and Craig Parsons absolutely dominant from Chris Neal, Dan Bridge and Alex Smith. Mike Cameron and Andrew Hillar are third and second in the classics.
Let's stay in 2008, and we just can't stay away from Pukekohe. This time, it's muscle car time.
Tortured screech of the four cylinders, the rumble of the V8s in the Formula 5000. Now we've got the tortured rubber and the rumble of the V8 in the GDM and the world moving and storage muscle cars.
Well, the class at the moment, we've got two classes combined, one from Auckland and one that we call Central Muscle Cars, which we started around about 5 years ago. And since then, we've grown from strength to strength. And just last year in September, we went and took 26 vehicles from New Zealand over to Eastern Creek for the Muscle Car Masters. And it was an absolute fantastic weekend. We had a ball.
So this is the first of the muscle car races we'll show you, and once again it is a handicap affair, and Mandy Sinclair just getting away now. This is the second group away. In that group 2, Bruce Ekdahl, car number 86 in the Mustang. Mandy Sinclair's car in the Chickadee colours of Alan Grice. You may remember that if you've been following motorsport as long as I have, watching it. The Bathurst 1000 coverage. And Alan Grice won in that car. Colin Sargison away in this group now. Greg Honor with him, so too Tony Boyd, and by the look of it, now the fast boys starting to come through. And they are just about to get caught up with some of the slower group here. Car number 25, and that is the Falcon Cobra of Vern Muller, and that is a very fast car. So as you heard them say, two groups of muscle cars here, the Auckland group and the GDM Central Muscle Car Group based out of Manfield. This is car number 9, this is Paul Urquhart in the colours as driven by Alan Moffat. It's the Falcon GT, of course. And there is Urquhart, and right in behind him, Justin Butcher in the Dick Johnson replica. Billy Dunn in there too, car number 5. That's a very quick Chevy Camaro from Albany, and it looks like Alan Pierce monstering Urquhart at the moment. And just look how much power some of these cars got. Urquhart just steps out as he comes down the big back straight here. This though is the group we saw taking off, and Bruce Ekdahl's put the move on Mandy Sinclair to move up one spot. The big mover here by the look of it looks to be Alan Pierce, just a little bit impatient trying to get around John Colburn there in the Tirana. Can't do it at the moment. Ekdahl though in the Mustang out on the front. Man from the Taranaki. This is a battle of the Auckland cars. Glenn Humphreys in the Falcon GDHO, and right in behind him Paul Burnett in the Tirana XU1. And at the moment they're fighting over 15th and 16th place. So 28 cars on the 2.8 kilometre circuit that is Pukekohe Park Raceway, so it gets a little bit busy. And have a look at this. Burnett carries the power and moves alongside Humphreys to try and take that position. Now this is the race leader. This is Ross Francis from Wanganui in the GDHO Falcon, and right in behind him is Dennis Gobble. Now they were in the first group that was sent away. Remember, this is a delayed start handicap race, so we're watching for the quick boys to come from the back to the front, but at the moment Ross Francis is doing one heck of a job out here when you consider that he's lapping in the 1:13s. The fastest of the cars on the circuit at the moment would probably be Bruce Ekdahl. Oh, some real problems there for Shane Weekston, I think it was, or it might have been Colin Sargison. The cars are identical. He gathers it back up again and doesn't miss a beat or lose a spot, so that's a great save for the V8 HQ of Colin Sargison. And there is that group. And number 377, Greg Honor, in that very quick Mustang from Hastings, starts to monster Sargison now. And in there as well is car number 25. And that is the GT Falcon of Vern Muller, and also the number 9, and that is Paul Urquhart. So slowly but surely the fast boys are starting to have their way and get to the front of the field. Here is Glenn Humphreys, and he's got past Mandy Sinclair as well. And right in behind her was number 83, and that was Shane Weekston, and another one of the V8 HQs. 25 they're going through, Vern Muller, so he's one of the fast boys. Just ahead of him it's number 377, Greg Honor. Then it's Sargison in this chain. In there as well, Tony Boyden and John Colburn as well in the Holden Tirana. There he is. In and out of Castrol they come, and down the long back straight. And I get the feeling that the time in the sun for number 208, Ross Francis, is slowly coming to an end. He still leads it over Ford Mountain. It is still Dennis Gobble in second place, so it's Ford on Ford, slightly different eras, but both of them muscle cars. And it is Gobble that goes into the front now. Whoa, and he gets a little bit of a lean on as he comes out of Jenny and Holmes, and has he set himself up well for the S's? Yes, he has. The Mustang grabs a handful of the tarmac here at Pukekohe Park Raceway. Oh, and the Falcon doesn't, and around goes Ross Francis and lights up the bags. And this is going to cost him a huge amount of time. In fact, he's going to do the sensible thing and back out of it and get out of the way. We got another one round in the S's. That's number 2, Mandy Sinclair and the Chickadee Commodore. So we go back to the front of the field, and it is number 306, Dennis Gobble in the front. There is Bruce Ekdale. Now remember, he started around about in the third group through in about 10th grid spot. Mandy's got the Commodore pointed in the right way. And back out onto the racetrack. These are potent little cars. Mandy races in both the GDM group and in the Auckland muscle cars. And look at the traffic now, Boyden there. So too John Colburn. There is 31, Alan Pierce. He's been the agitator right throughout this. Glenn Humphreys just getting shuffled to the back of that pack as the quick boys, and most of them from the GDM Central Muscle Car Group, start to make their way through. When we left it, it was Dennis Gobble in the front. You get the feeling that might have changed now. There is our Australian visitor. That's Paul Stubber in the Camaro, rumoured to have a sprint car engine in it, so it's got all the power in the world. 29, Paul Sinclair sits in around about 10th place in the Light Creek Group A Spec Commodore. Just up ahead of him, it is Alan Pierce. Urquhart in third. That's him on the inside of the shot, the number 9. The big Falcon GT in the colours of Alan Moffat. And looks like Ross Finley in there as well, but I think he'd be getting lapped as they work their way up towards Ford Mountain once again.
Part of the circuit towards the end moment. We've got a new leader.
So we've got a new leader as they come and get the last lap board, and it is Bruce Ekdale from New Plymouth. Second place now is number 306, and that is Dennis Gobble. This is a very, very fast Mustang. The man from New Plymouth, a stalwart from the Central Muscle Car Group. And there goes Sargison. Right in behind him, it's the little Chrysler. Oh, there's a problem here for one of the Tiranas as Ekdale rounds him up and heads up into the hairpin for the last time. So Bruce Ekdale's going to win it. Now, has there been a change? The last time we looked, it was Dennis Gobble in second place. I got a feeling Paul Urquhart might have got up there. We'll have a look as we track the progress of Ekdale as he heads down towards the finish line now. Race number 2 for the GDM muscle cars. Checkered flag comes out for Bruce Ekdale from New Plymouth. He wins it. Now the interest is going to be who's going to get second. Well, I can tell you it'll be Paul Urquhart through in second in the Falcon GT. Then it's Dennis Gobble in the Mustang. Billy Dunn in that Chevy Camaro was 4th, and Colin Sargison in the V8 HQ is 5th. 6th place, the similar car of Shane Weekston. Well, this is the second muscle car race we'll show you, brought to you by World Moving and Storage. Experience and advice you can trust. Once again, a handicap situation. First one away, Ross Francis from Wanganui in the Falcon GT. Saw him have a very leery looking spin in the previous race and threw away what would have been a pretty good finish for him. Out onto the back straight, and he's giving the rest of them one heck of a start. Number 10 there, Glenn Jeanette in the Ford Falcon from Auckland. Next bunch away, this is car number 25. and we'd expect him to be up toward the front. It's Vern Muller. There is Mandy Sinclair, and somebody's gone round in the Tirana, and that's Colin Meadows from Auckland, and that is a very high-speed spin, even coming off the line. These things accelerate so quickly. Gathers back up again, so that's good news. So Meadows continues on his way. Just up ahead of him, it is Mandy Sinclair. Bit of a dent in the door there. Not too sure if that was as a result of what happened earlier. Or Justin Butcher's got problems as well in the Dick Johnson liveried Falcon. As we go back to the front, Francis still leads it.
8 laps. They haven't had their one round, so they've got a full 8
So 8 laps for the handicap race here, the third and final race of the day for the muscle cars. This one brought to you by World Moving and Storage.
They might be coming through.
And look at the lead that Ross Francis has got at the moment. Looks like it's a charger through in second place, and then Ross Finley in the Little Datsun. Then it's Gobler by the look of it. Glenn Humphreys in there as well. Behind him, Glenn Jeanette in another Ford Falcon. There is Paul Burnett, pretty in pink, in the Tirana. This is car number 48, and that's Tony Boyden. And there is Paul Stubber from Australia. Right in behind him, it is Greg Honor. Then is Cole Sargison. Boyden, Alan Pierce in this group as well. So too number 25, Mueller. Oh, just getting a little bit wide, a little bit sideways. Well, you know, they said that that car's got a sprint car engine in it, so you're talking maybe 700 plus horsepower. Maybe it's a little bit hard to handle for Stubber here in Pukekohe. Great to have the Australian here, though. There's another couple of them in the field as well. And of course, you heard Danny Fabish saying that a lot of New Zealanders went over to Australia for the big muscle car festival earlier this season. So no change for the minors. Paul Burnett still trying to chase down Glenn Humphreys. A little bit more movement up the top of the field, though. Paul Urquhart is starting to make his way through. So too Mandy Sinclair. 25, Vern Miller's got all he can handle at the moment. Stubber in behind him in that potent Camaro, and there's another one behind Stubber, and that is Billy Dunn. Took out his class last season in the muscle car group. Or number 10 just locks him up. That's Glenn Jeanette, and that allows the Valiant to try and slip up the inside. Can't do it. Finley there, should any of those two make a mistake. Race leader, unbelievably, is still Ross Francis. Now, I say unbelievably because Ross Francis's best lap times is around about the 1:14, 1:15 second mark, and the fastest cars on the racetrack are in the 1:05s, 1:04s. So it's Falcon on Falcon. Francis in the front, 10 in second place at the moment. That's Glenn Jeanette. There he is in the white Falcon. Then it's Finley. Then it's the Chrysler. Then it's Glenn Humphreys. Paul Burnett about to be monstered there by Dennis Gobble. So he's starting to move up as well. But it's a battle of these beautiful Falcon GT8s. John Colburn hanging on to the coattails of this other group, and right in behind him it is Colin Sargison. Just ahead of Colburn it's Alan Pierce. Oh, I'm not sure if that's a lock-up or a bit of an oil smoke there for Glenn Jeanette. Maybe it's just a slight locking up of the left front as he brings the Falcon down from terminal velocity in and out of the hairpin they go. So we've got a new race leader, Glenn Jeanette, now in front of Francis. Francis goes back into second place. Who have we got in third? Positions changing as this handicap race, the laps wind down. World Moving and Storage bring it to you. Experience and advice you can trust. Well, you can put your trust in a Falcon, especially if you're a Blue Oval fan, because it's Falcons 1 and 2 at the moment. It is number 10, Glenn Jeanette, leading it. Then it is number 208, Ross Francis. Ross Finley in there as well. But there's a whole heap of fast Chevys coming, and they're coming quickly. And let's not forget Paul Urquhart in the Falcon GT. There he is, number 9, sitting in 4th place for the moment. Make it 3rd, and Stubber going with him. So they'll dispose of Finley as they head out of the kink and down into the braking area for the hairpin. Well, we see it so many times in these handicap races. They all concertina up in the last few laps. And look at this, the Chev Camaro of Paul Stubber. As sideways as you like is Paul Urquhart. Oh, and somebody's gone straight ahead. And that is Ross Francis. Well, he's done it again. He did it in the previous race as well. He threw away a great placing, and he's done it here again at the hairpin in Pukekohe Park Raceway, in front of a huge crowd watching this, the final muscle car group. And Boyden's off onto the grass as well, maybe with a little bit of assistance. We will check on that for you. Tony Boyden's got it under control again, as this is the battle at the front of the field. Jeanette leads it no more. It is Paul Stubber from Australia in the high horsepower Chevy Camaro, the motor oil supported Aussie, out in the front now. And he loves to get it sideways. Bouncing off the curb through the S's into Castrol. Jeanette trying to go with him, but he just hasn't got the raw horsepower of the popular Aussie. But this move may be all for nothing, because we're hearing on the race radio communications that time penalties have been assessed for car number 311 and car number 83 for jumping the start. So that is going to make a big dent in the results, because this is car number 311 and this is Paul Stubber. And have a look at how sideways you can get this SS Camaro. Last lap board comes out, and Urquhart, can he do anything about it? Because he's the man in second place, just got a glimpse of the Falcon GT. Then it's Bruce Ekdahl in there as well, going past Jeanette now. So too will John Colburn. Then it's Billy Dunn, and then it's number 29, and that's another one of the Sinclair family, and that is Paul in the Light Creek Commodore. But this is the race leader, and look at the way he's just burning up the rear tyres on that Poke Camaro. But you've got to remember, he's been assessed a time penalty for a false start. So he's in first place on the racetrack and on your living rooms at home, but maybe he's going to be just inside the top 10, because 10 seconds, this will be a banner finish in this handicap race, and it may mean the difference between first and maybe 8th or 9th place. But at the moment, no, Stubber leads it. Urquhart getting a little bit closer. And how sideways do you want to get Paul Stubber? Well, he loves Pukekohe Park Raceway. He loves letting the horses on this thing run free. Checkered flag comes out. It's all for nothing for Paul Stubber, because he's not going to be first in the results. It's going to fall to Paul Urquhart. Second place will be Bruce Ekdahl, so he's had a great afternoon. In third place, it's Billy Dunn in the number 5 Camaro, and in fourth place, it's Glenn Jeanette in the Falcon. Behind him, fifth, Paul Stubber in the Chevy Camaro.
That's it for this week. See you next week for more Retro Motorsport.
You'd have to say, as we're back on board with the circuit here at Pyra, here's the race leaders. Oh, there are all sorts of problems.
Oh, big carnage. Oh, straight to the barriers and through the smoke we come.
What a